Hello and thanks for joining us on the news at 10 on NEWS24. We're reaching you live from Abuja. I am Mina Daniels. The headlines. New national minimum wage negotiations. Government and organized private sector agree on 62,000 naira. More than 1.2 million pilgrims performs 2024 Hajj. Bauchi State Government issues executive order to relocate some major markets for renewed urban planning. The Tripartite Committee on National Minimum Wage had concluded negotiation with the government and the organized private sector agreeing on the sum of 62,000 naira new national minimum wage and organized labor standing on 250,000 naira. Recommendation of the committee will be presented to the President Bola Tinubu for consideration and presentation to the National Assembly. Joseph Otsen reports.
The committee has worked so hard, and the committee has reached agreement. The tripartite committee is made up of three parties: the government, the organized private sector, and the organized labor. And in the wisdom of the committee, they have put together a recommendation that will be forwarded to Mr. President for further action. The organized private sector and the government have agreed on a figure 62,000. The organized labor is still asking for 250,000. But at the end of the day, what is very important is that there is this conviviality. We are talking, is a discussion, and no hostility anymore.
This meeting reconvened from Tuesday this week, and it's been serious work. At the time, we had to even break into technical committees to crunch the numbers and to look at the numbers. And as just reported by His Excellency Governor Senator Uzodinma, Governor of Imo State, on where we are, that is the true position of things. As we are currently, the OPS, Organized Private Sector, and the government side, they have recommended 62,000 naira to be the minimum wage. But for us, from labor, we felt that with the current economic hardship and with the difficulty in the land, that the sum of 200,000 naira, the sum of 250,000 naira should be the what would be okay as the minimum wage. So these we are going to the report position to Mr. President.
But to recommend, and the recommendation today came as a result of deeper understanding and deeper studies of all the economic indices, the current inflation situation, the state of the economy, affordability, ability, capability, sustainability. Caution had been displayed all through, so that a figure that would further throw the country into confusion is not announced. This is because if any party goes into an agreement of a figure that it knows from its sources it cannot afford, then it's going to create another problem.
And so the Minister of Hajj and Umrah, Tawfiq Al-Rabah, at the press conference in Riyadh, stressed the need for pilgrims to adhere to regulations. Dr. Alabi reports that NACON says Nigeria pilgrims are complying with regulations.
12th month of Islamic lunar calendar has just started, and it is the time for final Hajj rites. Saudi Arabia has commenced and mobilized all resources to ensure the success. of this year's Hajj, including over 2,500 trainings for about 150,000 workers and leaders of pilgrim groups conducted in multiple languages. Saudi's Minister of Hajj and Umrah, Tawfiq Al-Rabia, highlighted efforts made by the custodian of the Holy Mosque, King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, to ensure pilgrims perform their rituals with ease, while emphasizing the need for pilgrims to comply with Hajj regulations. We launched an international campaign to raise awareness about the dangers of violating Hajj regulations. Practices. This campaign spans more than 20 countries globally. Meanwhile, the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria (NAHCO) says pilgrims are observing their rituals comfortably without
doing our best. Inshallah, we are also getting cooperation from the Saudi authorities, and so far we have also been getting cooperation with the pilgrims. So that is what makes our works very smooth and seamless.
Approximately 1.2 million pilgrims from various countries around the world are performing this year's Hajj, including about 65,000 Nigerians. Saudi Arabia's long-standing commitment to serve the guests of Allah. Tokbe Alabi, NTA.
Meanwhile, the chairman of the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, Jalal Ahmed Arabi, has expressed satisfaction with arrangements and structures put in place by the Bauchi state government for this year's Hajj exercise. This is his remark after inspecting Sultan Saad Abubakar Hajj camp in Bauchi.
For intending pilgrims, male and female hostel as well as the governor's office were among the structures inspected by the NAHCO's chairman, who was also briefed on the measures put in place by the Bauchi state government. He described the camp as the base in the country, with a hope that the entire 2024 Hajj exercise will be successful.
Come home to see what so much hard fundamentally to acknowledge the contribution and successes made by the years of this management, to commend what our representatives, the board member representatives of this has done on our commission. It would have been our wish to be here for a while when the IF was going on, but you would agree with me that when there are too many demands and commitments, we can't be everywhere all the time.
The chairman has assured the nation's commitment to complement its airlift operations within this stipulated time. In Bauchi, Muaz Hassan, NTA News.
An executive order has been issued for the relocation of some major markets by the Bauchi state government as part of measures to control the renewed urban planning policy in the state. Awal Abdullahi reports that the order also affected other temporary business structures along major roads of Bauchi metropolis.
Increase of participating in various businesses along some major roads is no doubt affecting heavy flows of pedestrians and cause vehicular traffic. The recent demolition exercise on illegal business structures in the state capital of Bauchi is to ensure an improved security in line with its urban renewal policy.
It is also important to let you know that there are heinous crimes and offenses that have been perpetrated and committed in those illegal structures. Example, drug peddling, prostitution, and what have you. And some of the custodians of these illegal structures are in the know, while
it does not only include the illegal structures along the road, it also includes some businesses such as the mechanics, the timber market and building material sellers, cattle market, vegetable market, and so many other businesses.
Issues that has to do with the environmental pollution, like the air and noise pollution, can also be regulated. There are areas where there are congestion, there are high chances of spread of diseases, and then traffic management and control are also very essential.
Alternatives were provided, according to the Commissioner, for relocation of the affected traders under the new urban policy, which is aimed at encouraging investment and economic growth. In Bauchi, Awwal Abdullahi, NTA News.
A book which captures how media enthusiasts, public speakers, and inspiring journalists can bring out the best in them, titled Command Your Stage, authored by a former staff of the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Bimbo Oloyede, has been presented to the public. Diana Jale, who attended the presentation in Lagos, tells us more.
From the questions, what is presentation? Who needs presentation training? Breaking barriers of effective communication, to no pain, no gain. Former Director General, National Broadcasting Commission, NBC, Dan Ladibako, who is the reviewer, described the 272-page book as a must-read for those who wishes to perfect their communication skills.
The author explores and utilizes English language and choice of words with the dexterity of a seasoned literary colossus.
The book is also described as a Big Bang theory on professionalism.
This book will help others who are thinking of entering that industry or improving their performance.
Now, what Bimbo is trying to take across is a skill that enables you not just communicate and get your views across, but win over the audience.
It covers all areas of life's endeavors.
The author, Command Your Stage, Bimbo Oloyede, says her literary adventure aims at reframing communication skills in Nigeria.
Now is the time for you young people to have a different understanding of education. You must learn how to articulate ideas clearly and confidently so that you are empowered to thrive in the workplace and to make a meaningful contribution to nation building.
Bimbo Oloyede is a veteran with vast experience and insights, a speaker and trainer who has been a broadcast professional for nearly 5 decades and the first woman to cast network news on Nigerian Television Authority. In Lagos, Diana Ajale, NTA News.
The federal government and partners in Nigeria's zoonotic disease control are advocating strengthening of One Health approach at the country's sub-national level to holistically address increasing incidences of zoonotic diseases and to aid national preparedness for future health threats. This was the crux of submissions at the 11th Annual Scientific Conference of the Epidemiological Society of Nigeria, EPISN, in Abuja. Olusheye Adeagbo has more.
In Nigeria's Center for Disease Control and Prevention (NCDC) record, Nigeria has been faced with reimagining zoonotic, foodborne and environmental-borne disease outbreaks such as Lassa fever, rabies, cholera, and diphtheria, among others. While the One Health approach platform is working at the national level, experts at this Epidemiological Society of Nigeria EPISN conference believe the same level of commitments are required across states of the Federation and the LCT to achieve better public health outcomes.
You have 60% of all human infections of animal origin. Sometimes we even forget that HIV came from animals.
We are very much committed to supporting the government in ensuring that this One Health coordination is disseminated to the state levels.
For the leadership of IPSIN, the association has sustained pre- and post-COVID-19 contributions to ensure global and national health security.
Public health physicians must work with veterinary professionals and policymakers to build a robust One Health framework in Nigeria. This is the relevance of the Epidemiological Society of Nigeria as the umbrella association of these experts.
our main strategy is to grow epidemiology from the regions, from countries, and that we believe would make mankind safe.
The conference is themed One Health and the Rising Prevalence of Zoonotic Diseases as APC members reiterate commitment to the use of epidemiology for a better understanding of local and global health issues, ultimately advancing human development. In Abuja, Olusheye Adiagbo, NTA News.
This is the news at 10 on NEWS24. Let's take a break now. We'll be right back with more. Glad to have you back. President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, says the 10th National Assembly remains resolute in consolidating Nigeria's democracy, where peace and justice will continue to reign. Senator Akpabio said this during a visit to the National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies, NEWS, in Abuja. National Assembly correspondent Mohammed Rabiu Ali reports.
Rendition of the national anthem with love and passion set the tone of the visit. President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, recalls with interest the due processes followed by both chambers before adoption of the historic anthem. Akpabio reminded Nigerians of the independence era, citing brotherhood as key to national development.
If we kept to that national anthem, we probably would not have banditry today in Nigeria. Because if you take your neighbor as your brother, you will not want to kill your brother, would you? If you take your neighbor as your brother, you will not want to go into the farm to behead your brother. So in brotherhood, we stand. And it ended with a prayer. O God of creation, grant this our one request. Help us to build a nation where no man is oppressed.
On the NEWS infrastructure, Senate President expressed satisfaction with the facilities put in place, saying Nigerians do not need to travel overseas for any legislative training.
I don't have any doubt that your leadership here is improving democracy in Nigeria.
What you are seeing here in terms of structure, in terms of facilities, in terms of the glamour, the kudos go back to you. You have been very supportive.
A publication of 25 years of unbroken democracy compiled by the Institute was presented to the President of the Senate. In Abuja, Muhammad Rabiu Ali, NTA News.
Nigeria will be exploring public-private partnerships, leverage technology, and prioritize essential services as the federal government launches a revised national policy on food safety and quality with its implementation plan. Coordinator Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Mohammed Ali Pate, in a message at a national engagement to mark 2024 World Food Safety Day in Nigeria, said the policy benchmarks safe handling, marketing, and sale of food across the country will not be compromised. Olusheye Adebo reports.
While records on the global burden of foodborne disease are estimated at 600 million illnesses and 420,000 premature deaths, there is no contrast to the situation in Nigeria. The country's commitment to food safety through One Health approach has been working to lift burden, with evidence in the recent Joint Estin Evaluation (JEE) reports on health security, as food safety, one of the 19 technical areas evaluated, moved from no capacity in 2019 to developed capacity in 2024, with a remarkable 40% rise.
To the glory of God.
The National Policy on Food Safety and Implementation Strategy seeks modernizing the country's food safety regulatory framework.
The implementation of this policy is not a solitary journey. It demands the concerted efforts of all parties at both national and subnational levels. We aim to alleviate the growing burden of non-communicable diseases that affect our country.
Members of the National Food Safety Management Committee, who will serve as guardians of trust for food safety, were inaugurated with a marching order to ensure food safety policies are implemented across the country.
And I urge us all to work together to ensure we put in place measures that will ensure global standards in food safety.
Food safety is a shared responsibility, and by being prepared for the unexpected, we can help reduce the burden of foodborne diseases globally.
June 7 every year is chosen as World Food Safety Day, and this year's commemoration is themed Food Safety, Prepare for the Unexpected. Abuja, Olusheye Adiagbo, NTA News.
Meanwhile, food safety is indeed a global concern that affects every individual, regardless of geographical location or socioeconomic status. With the increasing complexity of food production and distribution systems, coupled with emerging pathogens and contaminants, the need for robust food safety measures has never been more critical. Guests on Nigeria Today are of the opinion that with an estimated 600 million cases of foodborne illnesses annually, unsafe food is a threat to human health and economies, disproportionately affecting vulnerable and marginalized people.
We need to keep in mind is the food hygiene. Ensuring food hygiene by, first of all, like hand washing. Hand washing became it's a standard, a global standard. Remember, in the times of COVID, there was a lot of hand washing practices, which is really good. What's the essence? To ensure that our hands are clean of any organisms that can cause harm. So beyond the hand washing, other tips for food hygiene or food handling. Food handling is also very important. Simple tips as how to store food storage. Some of the respondents have already mentioned that, ensuring that we keep them properly. Like the grains, store them in airtight containers with tight lids. Raw foods, there are some foods that are more prone, are very predisposed to quick spoilage, like the perishables.
Most people don't use thermometer to measure the temperature at which they cook their food. One of the best ways is to use the time that you use in cooking the food. Okay. If, for example, you are boiling meat, rather than boiling the meat for 5–10 minutes, boil it for 20 to 30 minutes, or even 1 hour, depending on the type of meat. If you are cooking pork, for example, gas? Yes, if you are cooking pork, for example, you need to boil it longer.
Pork?
Pork, yes. Pig meat. Okay. If you are cooking food meat that is already suspected to be contaminated, that is smelling, for example, or the intestine part of the meat, for example, needs to be boiled longer than the real meat, the muscle part of the meat. Why? Because that's where bacteria is found.
That's implementing stringent food safety measures, including proper hygiene practices, adequate cooking temperatures, and regular inspections of food handling facilities can mitigate these risks and protect consumers. Let's now have some sports stories.
It was yet another draw points for the Super Eagles of Nigeria after they had come back from a goal down to draw 1-1 with South Africa's Bafana on match day 3 of the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers. Simba Swane gave the South Africans the lead against the run of play before Fisayo Dele Bashiru equalized for the Eagles early in the second half. The Eagles have now failed to win 3 consecutive games in the qualifiers and are in 5th place on 3 points, while South Africa occupy 4th place on 4 points. Up next for the Super Eagles of Nigeria is an away trip to Cote d'Ivoire, where they will face 3rd-placed Benin Republic on Monday, June 10. And in tennis, Carlos Alcaraz moved a step closer to a maiden French.
And that concludes the news at 10 on NEWS24. We thank you for watching. I am Mina Daniels.